Hi beautiful viewers, my name's Mrs. B and today I'm going to show you how to create something so beautiful and personalised as a gift for someone special in your life. Thank you so much for joining me at the Art Life YouTube channel. Stay tuned and I'll show you how to make this. Sculpture today has the idea of a bit of a family tree that I've created using clay. So it hangs, as you can see, and the idea is that it would probably go outside and sort of be a bit of a wind chime, or it could be an inside sculpture as well. I've used some natural materials from outside, and I've also created lots of different leaves that are personalised with names on them. I've painted them and put them all together hanging like a beautiful family tree. What I mean by that is, this is for my mother-in-law and she has 3 children. And then those children have had children that are dangling underneath them and they've all got their own name on them. So when I give this gift to my mother-in-law, she'll be able to see the names of her beautiful family members that she obviously loves so much. And it's not only a gorgeous ornament to have at her house, but a beautiful reminder of her wonderful family that love her. So come with me today and I'll show you how to make this step by step. This can be made by anyone, no matter what type of experience you have with art or clay. So I encourage you to have a go at creating something like this, and I'll show you how right now. For this clay-based task today, we're using a form of air drying clay. This means that you don't need an oven or a kiln to bake it. The air around us actually dries it out. So this is perfect if you don't have a kiln or anything. Anyone can use this. This is a great brand that I use, and you can collect this from the Zart website, which I have in my link below. Some other things that you'll need as well, we're doing a variation of this task using polymer clay or oven baked clay. We're going to make some beads out of this just to add some pops of colour, so you can create a version with or without the polymer clay. You'll also need some twine or some rope. I use this sort of natural looking one. I think it will look really nice for this design. And we want to make it personalised, so I actually picked up this wooden stamp set from Kmart. Now we don't need the stamp part of it, we just need the letters, and we're going to use them to indent names into our clay. You'll also need to roll out the clay with a rolling pin, but because it can get a bit messy, I suggest that you put some baking paper down under and over the top of your clay so you don't destroy your kitchen materials. You'll also need to go for a bit of a walk and maybe get a nice long stick in which we're going to attach all of the pieces from it. But we need to go for a walk to get that, don't we, Sadie?
Yeah.
So gather your materials and we're going to show you step by step how to create this fantastic family tree charm. Please make sure that you subscribe and give me a like if you've loved the video, and make sure you check out all the other videos I've created for you. Now, there are 2 main parts to this task. The first one are some beads made out of polymer clay, which my daughter Sadie's working away with there, and I will show you how to make those in detail a little bit later. But first, we need to work with our air dry clay. Air dry clay is fantastic to work with, but when you first take it out of the packet, it's quite hard. So the first thing you need to do is take some time to soften your clay in your fingers, just squeezing and molding it like this, pressing hard so that it softens and we can start to manipulate it. Now, depending on how many leaves you're going to make will depend on how much clay you'll need. I have 500 grams here, and that should be enough for the amount of leaves I'm using. The plan for this is to make a bit of a family tree for Sadie's grandmother for her birthday. So she has 3 children and then 8 grandchildren. So altogether, we will need 11 leaves. What's 8 plus 3? Sades?
8 plus 3, 100?
No.
11.
Well done, 11. So the first thing I'm going to do is place my clay on top of some baking paper, and then I'm going to actually put some baking paper over the top just because I don't want to ruin my rolling pin, which is used for food. So if you don't mind ruining your rolling pin, then you don't need the baking paper. But we're going to flatten this, spin it around so you get a nice big surface. So the aim with your clay is to get it into a nice thin and even sheet. The thickness is really up to you, but I want a really dainty kind of looking charm, so I've rolled it fairly thin. Now with using the baking paper though, you're going to get some of these creases in it, which I actually don't mind. I think it adds a bit of texture and character, but in the event you don't like those, just dip your finger into a little bit of water there and use some pressure, and you can see that the cracks are starting to disappear. We're going to need that technique a little bit later. So what I'm going to do now with a nice sharp knife is create my first 3 leaves of the 3 children that my mother-in-law has. So the idea when creating the leaf is that we're just going to cut. Doesn't need to be perfect because you can mold it. Bit of a leaf shape, as you can see. Now that's not done yet. I want to smoothen those edges, but I'll show you how to do that soon. I'm just going to leave that to one side and begin to make the rest of my leaves. Sadie, in the meantime, is making the polymer clay beads. She's just rolling the different colours of polymer clay in the colour scheme you're wanting. We're going for greens and blues, aren't we, Sadie? Mm-hmm. And you need to roll them into snakes, and then what do you do?
And when they're all together like this, twisted. Look, it's all twisted.
So Sadie got all the colours that she wanted, rolled them into snakes, and now twisted them all together. You've forgotten that one though, Sadie. We might just roll him on the outside, that's fine. Yeah. And now she's going to use some muscles to roll that into one big snake, aren't you, Sades?
Uh-huh.
Excellent.
Look at my one big snake. It's very, very beautiful and big.
In the event that this happens to your leaf, I don't suggest using ones that are sort of broken and too fragile like that. What I suggest in this instance is that you pop it back into the original clay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 4 more for however many I'm making today. So it's a matter of rolling your clay back into a nice ball and then again back into a pancake. Now you don't have all the time in the world for this because the air around us is beginning to dry out our clay. So we do need to work fairly quickly. In the event that your clay starts to dry out, again, you just need a little bit of water. Don't add too much, it will turn into mud, but that will help the clay to stay nice and soft. Obviously, if you have a bigger family, you will need to make more leaves, but I've pretty much made what I need out of 250 grams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's what we need. Excellent. So I have a little bit of clay left over. You might choose to create little beads out of the leftover clay, but we're using polymer clay for the beads today. But for now, what I'm going to do is take some time to use my water, and Sadie's going to help me, just to rub out some of these sort of edges that are a little bit rough. So we're rubbing the sides, Sadie, turning the clay both sides. Yeah, use one finger, just the edges. So the idea is to make nice, smooth edges with your clay. So you need to put a bit of pressure.
What's pressure mean?
You need to push a little bit, so the sides, so that the cracks start to disappear. All right, what we're going to do now, and very importantly, is make a hole in each of them so that we can tie through some rope. All right, so the hole needs to be large enough to to be able to put some rope through there. So try to make it as neat as you can. What my aim is now, I'm going to use my Kmart letters to personalize each of the leaves and give them the name of the grandchild or child of my mother-in-law. So I'll show you, for example, with my daughter Sadie. So I'm going to grab her letters. How do you spell your name, Sadie?
S.
S. What's next?
A. D.
D.
I.
Yeah.
E.
Excellent. S-A-D-I-E. Perfect. So I'm literally, because it's a bit of an indentation like this, I'm going to push that into the clay, like that.
Yeah.
S. A. D. I. E. Excellent. I don't really want to see the little square bits, so I'm going to try and mold them out so that Sadie has her own leaf. I'm going to repeat that with the other grandchildren's names.
Now.
All right, let's do Haven. Does it look good?
Yeah.
Okay, what about Delilah? Zali.
Zollies. Zollies.
Zali. What's another one? Sierra. Brilliant.
Zay.
Xavier.
What one's that one?
What do you think?
Noah.
And the lucky last is Eden.
Eden.
These three last ones, they're going to be the children or the parents of the grandchildren, I suppose. So for one, I'm going to do just the initials of the parents. So for example, myself and my husband Blake. So I'm going to do B and K. All right, so Blake and Kerri. All right. That is all we need these wonderful Kmart letters for, but I think you can see that they've definitely made their money's worth. They were $4, and they are just so fantastic at personalizing this task. In the event you don't have something like this, you could try to write the letters with a skewer, but that is a lot trickier. So now what we're going to do is try to make these leaves look like leaves. Just a little bit. So you could do this with a knife, you could do it with a skewer as well, and it's just a matter of very, very finely creating some, let me turn it this way.
Ooh, but they're not going to be green.
Leaves like this. So I'm not, obviously, that's why I did the name first, because I need to make some space for that. You need a fairly steady hand to do this, and I don't suggest kids to do this part, especially if you're using a knife, but doesn't need to be perfect at all. You can see there that it looks like a knife. You might even choose to do the other side as well, because it will be dangling. You'll be able to see both sides. You can do this fairly quickly. You could use a ruler if you don't have an overly steady hand. Okay. But that is Sadie's, for example, finished. And I'm going to sort of curl up the edges a little bit, just to sort of make it look like
A leaf.
more of a natural leaf. A leaf would sort of sit more like that. So that will sit there now, and it will dry on its own. But that's pretty much all we need to do for the leaves or the clay today. That will probably take about a day to dry completely. I hope this was enjoyable. It's actually quite therapeutic, and it's a fantastic gift idea. So let them set, and we'll come back and we'll paint them with watercolours after. Now, while these are drying, you're going to want to wrap up any remaining clay It will dry in the air around us, as I explained, so please wrap up the excess that you haven't used. We're going to put this to one side, and now we're going to make some beads using polymer clay. So Sadie has started this for me, haven't you, sweetie?
Uh-huh.
And so the start is really just twisting some colours together, colours that you plan to sort of use when it comes to painting your leaves. So we've twisted, haven't we? Maybe we need a little bit more twisting so the colours kind of merge and marble together really nicely. Make sure you wash your hands though, because they probably would have been quite messy after using the clay. All right, at this point you probably want to preheat your oven, a 130 Celsius oven, and grab a tray with some baking paper in it. So now I've just cut some of my polymer clay. My aim is just to make some sort of colourful beads to be added to the leaves. We want to sort of press this and mould the colours around a little bit more, and then roll so they make a really interesting marbled bead like this. And then if I can find that little wooden stick from earlier, we'll poke a hole in this guy as well. Polymer clay though does need to go in the oven. So place it in your tray and it's going to go in the oven for about 15 minutes. Now you might notice another video that Sadie and I have done together in the past. We actually make Sadie bracelets, don't we, Sadie?
Yeah.
This is a Sadie bracelet and it uses polymer clay and a very similar strategy to what we're showing you now to create small beads and turn them into bracelets. Do you remember doing that, Sadie?
Yeah, and big beads to turn them into necklaces.
That's correct. So feel free to check out that video if you like this activity. You'll love that one. So the idea is just to make some different sizes and they will go above each leaf like that when it's dangling. I think it'll look really nice.
Is that
It's probably enough for now. The polymer clay you can just wrap up or place away in a sealed container and you can use that for next time. It won't dry out and it's awesome that you can come back to it and make something else out of it. I've also done a bowl activity, creating something like this.
Yeah.
That's using polymer clay as well, the same substance. So I have a video to teach you how to do that if you have any left over. So these need to go in the oven for about 15 minutes. And during that time, Sadie and I are going to go for a little bit of a walk down to the park to try and find the perfect stick for all of this to be attached to.
We're finding sticks.
Is that a good one?
Nah.
Is it strong?
No.
Oh, all right, let's keep looking.
Yeah. Okay. That's very heavy.
Is that one too big?
This one's too big. Ugh. Strong but too big. Ugh. Look at this one. But it's too pointy.
Maybe we can break it.
Too pointy.
I think that's pretty good. So we picked up a few different options. It probably depends on your style, whether you want something a bit sleeker, something fairly rustic, or this one's even a bit curled, so that could look quite sculptural. But we'll take them all home and see what it looks like once we attach the string and the clay pieces. It's now time to set up your painting station. So we have allowed our leaves to completely dry, the back side and the front side, so they are rock hard, but they are fairly fragile, so you do need to be quite careful with them. They might snap fairly easily. So what we're using to paint today, you can use really any form of paint. You could use acrylics if you want a really bold colour. But today we're going to use watercolours, firstly because it's fairly mess free, it's not very messy, but also I just want to give it a nice colourful kind of wash, not too bright. And today we're going to work with a fairly natural colour scheme, similar to the colours you'll see in this bead here. So we'll probably stick toward this end of our palette, okay Sadie? We're not going to use the bright colours today.
Not
just
the
these.
white.
Oh, maybe a little bit of white.
Okay.
So let me demonstrate to you first, Sades, and then you can have a go on your own. So I might just do Delilah's one, which is in front of me here. So I'm just mixing a bit of an olivey green here. So when we're painting today, we're using mostly water, okay, Sadie?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dipping in my brush in the water quite often and just allowing the colours that are already on there to sort of move around the leaf. Make sure you get the sides. All right.
My turn?
Yeah. So you can grab Zave's one.
Zave.
Pop it on your paper there. So you can see fairly easily the colours kind of go into the cracks that we've made, and they sort of stand out on their own. You can go back in after it's dry to add some more sort of details. But for now, we're just doing a bit of a base layer. So Sadie, you need a lot of water now, just water, okay?
Just water.
Yeah.
Yeah. These will look fantastic.
I think so too. So you can see when painting each leaf, we haven't just painted with one colour. We've used multiple colours together and tried to blend them. So I've used a bit of a dark blue, a light green, a dark green, and even a bit of brown in with each leaf, and also used water to sort of make them blend. We're gonna let that dry and then paint the back. So as you can see now, each of our leaves have been painted front and back. We're going to let them dry completely, and what I might do is actually gloss them just to protect them from any weathering, because the idea is that this might hang up outside somewhere. So I'm going to use something called Super Gloss, available from Zart, and I'll gloss them up once they're all dry. Then I'll show you how to hang them and put it all together. I'm now going to show you how to attach the rope so that the leaves hang in a desired sort of fashion. So what I would do is cut a fairly generous amount of rope or twine. Then you're going to tie just one knot, but give yourself a good amount of a tail here. Now we're going to use the opposite end and enter the leaf from the back. So I'm going to flip it around and enter the hole from the behind. And you might need to use your scissors just to open up the hole a little bit, especially if you've got gloss medium in it. Do that really gently. Pull all the way so that knot restricts the string coming through, and then tie another knot at the top here. At this point I did a double knot so that the string doesn't fall through. Now it's time to insert a bead and pull both ends of the bead through like that. And the aim of the bead is just to hide a little bit of that sort of messy kind of knotted area, and we'll chop this end just to hide that as well. So that should hang really neatly like that. You need to do that with all of your leaves. I'll show you one more time. The idea is to layer the leaves so that there are different heights. The way I'm doing it is so that each of my mother-in-law's children then have their children below them. So there are 3 different sort of rows in a way. And just so each person can sort of be seen, I'm making sure that they're sort of arranged at different heights. And then I'm just doing a double knot around the log here, nice and tight. Double knot as tight as you can. I'm going to cut off these excess bits later. As that. I really hope you were able to create something that you're really proud of today, that you can proudly give to someone in your family or keep for yourself. Please make sure that you follow me at ArtLife Art Lessons on Facebook and at artlife.melb on Instagram, and tag me in some photos of artwork that you have done at home using my lessons. I'd love to see if you've had a go at this task and given it as a Christmas or birthday present to someone that you love. Have an awesome day, and thanks so much for joining me here at Art Life.